I got a comment from one of these Negroes on my Why No One Is Afraid of Thugs Anymore video, where this Negro went into this rant talking about I must have been bullied, I wouldn't walk up to a thug, and, a whole bunch of nonsense. And I'm here to say I live in the South Bronx, I walk around thugs every day, and I look at these guys and I pretty much laugh at them because basically many of these males are nothing more than overgrown children. They are nothing to be afraid of. And the rest of the world is not afraid of these thugs. I mean, if these thugs were so scary and so dangerous, why are white hipsters moving into neighborhoods like Bushwick and Bed-Stuy right now, paying $2,000 a month to live in apartments right next to these Negroes? Why are Mexicans on the West Coast moving into areas like Compton and South Central and making efforts to move these sagging pants Negroes right out of their own neighborhoods? If these Negroes were such a menace to society, you would think people would be making efforts to be scared of them. But this is not the case at all. When we look at these so called thugs, it's clear to me that the world no longer sees them as the threat that they imagine themselves to be. When people look at these thugs, again, they see them the way I see them. It's basically overgrown children stuck in grown men's bodies. 25, 35, 40, and even 50-year-old grown men walking around who only have the mentality of about a 12 or 13-year-old child. And even your own black woman looks at these thugs. And again, she even sees him as an overgrown child. And in the case of your black woman who has been taking care of this thug for the last 25, 30 years, she has grown so tired of this man and his emotional state of arrested development, she is now making plans to move on and leave him behind. When I look at your black woman, this is one of the reasons why she is talking about why she wants to swirl, why she wants to deal with white and Asian men. Because when she looks at her own black man, she does not see a man. She sees a child. She sees a man standing around who can only talk about Air Jordan tennis shoes, Colt 45 malt liquor, what happened on Love and Hip Hop, what happened on YouTube with the latest twerking things, and his high score in Madden 2000 whatever. That is all this Afro-American Negro can talk about. Meanwhile, she has gotten all these multiple college degrees. She is now working a corporate 9-to-5 job. And when she interacts with men, white men, Asian men, Hispanic men, and they sit there and they can talk about, the nuances in a book about symbolism and irony and the things that she learned in college, she looks at those men and sees men she can relate to on her level. When she looks at this thug that she got involved with in high school or even in her college days, and she sees this man has not progressed a single inch of growth in mental maturity or emotional maturity, she looks at him and says to herself, I'm stuck with a handicapped child. I'm stuck with a retarded child. And she wants to grow past this man. But these thugs, again, in their own imagination, believe themselves to be the man and believe themselves to be the boss running their neighborhood and running their block. Meanwhile, the people are who have money and power, which the thug does not have because he lives off his woman, are making efforts to buy up property in his very own block that he says he supposedly runs. I mean, you have Jews buying up property in Bushwick, Brooklyn. You have Jews buying up property in Bed-Stuy. You have Mexicans buying property out in Compton and South Central. You have a whole host of people developing businesses in this Negro's community. Yet he's supposed to be the man running around in his MCM jogging suit or his cross colors sagging jeans or whatever brand it is. And because he can stand outside of a foreign-owned store where, again, Arabs and Koreans are making a boatload of money off of him while he begs for change, he's supposed to be some sort of thing that people are supposed to be afraid of and scared of. Well, I'm sorry to say this, and if these guys, they get butt hurt, it's no skin off my back, but you're not the man. You haven't been the man in 25 years. Many of these thugs basically don't see themselves for the laughingstocks that they are. They are not this imagined menace to society. They're nothing more than court jesters in America's communities. And most American black communities, these guys are basically clowns that everyone laughs at, from your foreign store owners, to your white landlords, to your white store owners, to your even your own black woman. And all of them look at this Afro-American Negro dressed up like a in a Halloween costume and pretty much see him for the joker that he actually is, because this thug has no economic power, so he cannot have any say over what goes on in his community. He has no political power, so he cannot establish policy in his own community. And he's not even a leader in his own home, because his own woman pretty much pays all the bills, has all the pays all the bills, has the lease in her name, has all the bills in her name, and he gets everything from her, from his oodles of noodles to his Colt 45 spending money, and his video game money. Everything that he gets comes from her. So how is he the man? How is he some sort of menace? Nobody is scared of this guy because he has no real power. He's basically a toothless lion. I mean, it looks scary on the outside, but when you get close to it, you see that it's no threat at all. The guy's just a joke. But the sad part is, many of these Afro-American Negroes, you can't tell them that. They're still stuck imagining themselves as the bad boys that they see in these movies like your Menace to Society, your Boys in the Hood, or your Straight Out of Compton, still thinking that they, resemble this image. But if they were to take a long, hard look in the mirror at themselves, again, they would see the joke that they actually are. And if they were to actually go outside and actually look at the neighborhood, I mean, if you were such a menace, then why are these white hipsters moving into your neighborhood and walking right by you every day as they go to get their coffee? Why, if you're such a menace, then why are all these Mexicans moving into your neighborhood and making efforts to push you out of it? If you're such a menace and you run the block, then why are these Arab store owners, standing outside here, standing in there, taking your dollars and taking them out of your community? If you're such a menace, then why is your black woman the one who goes to work every day and, making efforts, to finally get rid of you? But you Negroes don't see her making plans to get rid of you. No, because you still think, you're a thug for life, you're a big time gangster, and you don't see that she's gotten tired of you, just like everybody else has gotten tired of you. And your black woman, who has been funding you, supporting you, and financing you for the last 20 years, is looking at herself in her middle management job saying, I can't take this man to a business function with me. This man doesn't even know what a pair of dress shoes are. This man doesn't even know what a dress shirt is. This man doesn't even know what a tie is. So I can't bring him anywhere around my people that I have gotten to know at work. I can't take him to a restaurant because this Negro doesn't even know how to wear a suit. This Negro is used to wearing suits prison style, where they're hanging off of him, the pants are hanging off, the neck is way off, the tie is not even tied right. I can't bring this man, into my social circles because I have outgrown this Negro. And again, this is the reason why many of your black women say they want to swirl, why they want to get themselves white guys, why they want to deal with Asian guys, why they want to deal with Hispanic guys, because they look at this Negro, they look at how immature he is, they look at how developmentally disabled this Afro-American shine is, and they look at him and say, I can't, I stuck with this man for all these years, I even had kids with this man, and the sad part is my kids act more maturely than this man, supposed man, because he's not a man. And they look at him and they say to themselves, I cannot do anything with this. This is, again, like a retarded child. It's stuck at a state where it will always remain this way, and he's got no way of progressing. But you can't tell this to this Afro-American Negro, because this Afro-American Negro thinks, again, he is the man, he's running the neighborhood, and really, everybody's looking at him and pitying him and shaking their heads and saying to themselves, this is what I need to be afraid of? Well, nobody's afraid of him. I mean, George Zimmerman pretty much proved that point when he killed Trayvon Martin. I mean, nobody is scared of these guys. When Michael Brown was killed, it was proven nobody is scared of these guys. I mean, they're picking you off like flies, and people are going on to live their lives. But, you can't tell these guys that, Crips and Bloods and all these other gangs are the toughest guys on the block when, I look at the big picture. How can you be the toughest guy on the block when you don't own a single piece of property, you don't own a single business in that area, and you don't even own the very apartments you live in? you are basically you're basically bums. And the sad part is no one has the backbone or the testicles to tell you thugged out Negroes, you're nothing but bums. And if you have to beg for change, what does that say about you? It says you're basically a bum. It says that, you have no ability to take care of yourself. You have no ability to do for yourself. You are basically dependent on your black woman just like a child is. And what's so sad about it is you're a grown man dependent on a woman, and your own children that you have had are more capable and responsible than you are. And that's the saddest part of the big picture with this Negro. He don't see that. He doesn't see how embarrassing that is. That he has children that he can't teach, he can't contribute, he can't even be the head of his own family. He's basically been put in a position lower than a pet dog, and he thinks he's some sort of man because he believes in ideals that were created by white liberals from Madison Avenue in Hollywood, because they were the ones who created the thug in the first place, and they created the concept of the thug to keep his black behind from going to college, finishing high school, and doing the things that grown men do and starting businesses. He's out here thinking that he can still be a rapper at 40 years old, or some type of hip hop superstar, instead of going out here and getting some skills like PC repair, or trying to get a degree, or trying to start some sort of business like auto mechanics, or HVAC. He's still thinking he can go out here and be some sort of entertainer, and everybody just enables his fantasy, plays along, and does not take him seriously. Because when we look at this thug, nobody takes him seriously. Again, if he was such a threat, why are hipsters moving into his neighborhood and walking right by him? Why are Mexicans moving into his neighborhood and getting ready to move him out? Why are Arabs moving in where the Koreans were and opening up stores in his very own neighborhood? Why is his own black woman finally realizing that there is nothing she can do with him and talking about how she wants to swirl? But in this Negro's mind, again, he believes he is the man. He believes he is the one running the neighborhood, running the show, and that his hustles are some sort of, formidable business, while real business is going on. People are making a boatload of money off of him when he goes to stand outside of that foreign-owned store, because after he begs for the change, what does he do? He goes in there, he buys his Black and Mild cigarettes, his Little Debbie snack cakes, his 50-cent sodas, his 40 ounces, and gives the very same foreigners the money he begged for to go send their kids to public schools, go send their kids, to karate school, and to other, sorted hobbies, while his kids wallow in public schools, getting a second-rate or a third-rate education. But we're supposed to believe this thug is something to be afraid of. I'm sorry, nobody sees a thug as anything to be afraid of. In fact, they see him as a laughingstock, and in many cases, they see him as somebody that they pity. Because when you look at this Negro, a grown 30, 40, 50, sometimes 50-some-year-old man, still talking about Air Jordan tennis shoes, still talking about who has the biggest rear end, still talking about who light skin versus dark skin, still talking about celebrity nonsense, still talking about who can beat Madden 2000 whatever, or whatever video game there is, and still talking about how he wants to go and get a PS5 or whatever, or still talking about how he wants to get with Big Butt Bonifa. This is not what grown men talk about. This is not what grown men discuss. When a grown man looks at this thug, he looks at him, and again, he sees an overgrown child stuck in Arrested Development, and he shakes his head. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.